Hi, I'm Matt here in Michigan.
And I'm Randall here in Texas. Today, Matt and I are taking a look at the 1999 film Wing Commander. Now, there's a bit of a story about why we're doing Wing Commander. Another YouTube channel, The Unapologetic Geek, who I will put down a link in the description, has just passed 1,000 subscribers. He does a lot of video essays on different science fiction classics. So you'll see stuff over there like THX, even going further back to like the Gojira classics, stuff like that. It's a great channel to watch. He did an FAQ on his channel for his 1,000 subscribers, and he made an offhand comment about Wing Commander.
Which is, without hyperbole, one of the worst big budget movies I've ever seen. And I've seen Wing Commander.
And I took a little bit of offense to that because I had these golden memories of our childhood watching this film. And so he kind of challenged us like, I'll take it back if you guys do a review of it. And I was like, okay, deal. So here we are. Doing a review of Wing Commander. Wing Commander stars Freddie Prinze Jr., Matthew Lillard, Saffron Burrows, Cheikh Caro, who's one of my favorite actors, Jürgen Prochnow, David Warner. It is directed and written by Christopher Roberts, who is also the creator of the Wing Commander video game franchise.
Then this movie is about a bunch of pilots. They're in an interstellar war between humans and an alien race, attempting to locate and go after Earth. This movie has a $30 million budget, but only earned $11 million at the box office. When this opened, it had mostly negative reviews from critics. In fact, according to Movie Line, actor Freddie Prinze Jr. says that he hates this movie and can't even stand to watch a single scene of it. So, Randall, I'm pretty sure we watched this movie after your sister and her friend rented it because
Freddie Prinze Jr. was in it,
and Matthew Lillard in this movie, and you and I were kind of like, yeah, it's space, it's sci-fi, it's got space battles and stuff, and it's based on a video game. This sounds right up our alley. But Randall, what do you think about Wing Commander now?
How bad could it be?
How bad could it be?
The thing about watching it is that you realize, yes, Wing Commander is a horrible film. A horrible, terrible film. But I do want to start with some positives. Even though it doesn't stay at all true to the video game franchise, I really, really like the design of the human ships. The carrier ship makes really cool sense to me. I'm not saying that that's how a space carrier would be in real life, but from a movie perspective, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the starfighters that they have, with the big guns on the front, the big Gatling guns, basically. Again, realistic to space flight and battle? Nah, not really, probably. But I enjoyed the design that went into it, and from some perspective, I thought, there's some interesting ideas here, but the writer and director of this, who's again also the creator of the video game franchise, didn't really know how to put it all together. The flow in this movie's terrible. It's just going through and we gotta have a love scene and a love thing. Gotta check that box off. Yeah, we gotta have a space battle. Check that box off. But I saw some really good points, and I thought, you know what? If you stretch this out, if you made this more like Battlestar Galactica into like a TV series, there's an interesting premise here. It just doesn't work in an hour and 40-minute long film.
That's kind of what I thought when I was watching this movie. Like, you know what? This would have been a little bit interesting if it was a TV show. I don't know. I would almost rather watch Battlestar Galactica than watch this film.
Well, yes, obviously. Here's your choice. You can watch Battlestar Galactica or one of the worst films ever.
Hey, Randall, 10% of people on Rotten Tomatoes liked it.
Now, on the flip side of that, although I really, really actually enjoyed the human ships designs and the way the ships become their own character almost in themselves, because even the insides, although they kind of look like they were made in the 1980s, which is weird because the film came out in 1999. The opposite sides of that is the Kilrathi ships, which is the alien race. They don't look like an alien race at all. They just look like another maybe faction of human ships or something. So that was kind of disappointing. I'm like, well, you know what? You did a pretty good job with ship design overall. Like, it's neat, it's fun, it doesn't look bad, and the graphics, they they mostly hold up ship-wise, the space graphics. But man, the Kilrathi ships just don't look alien. They just look like they stole human ships.
The Kilrathi themselves, essentially, we don't really see what they look like until a little bit later on the film. But
Matt, they're cats. They're
cats.
giant cats.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking too. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Don't worry. Matt and I watched this film so you guys didn't have to.
Well, like you said too, I think the biggest problem is what you were mentioning about how like the writing, the flow of this movie. It's kind of like, hey, we have this battle scene, and then we come back on the carrier to say like one or two line to like put in there, and then we're back into like another battle scene. It was hard for me to like follow with this movie. Like, all right, I don't really care about these people. I don't really care about what's going on. It's hard for me to invest in everything. I had a hard time even remember who the characters were. Like, Freddie Prinze Jr. was like Christopher Blair or whatever, and then, we have Angel, and then we have Maniac kind of thing. Like
Matthew Lillard's character, Maniac, it makes perfect sense.
Todd, Maniac Marshall. At your service, ma'am.
Yeah, and I think he actually was a little bit of a bright spot. He was just on the cusp of being a kind of entertaining character. Kind of on the cusp.
Matt, come on. Matthew Lillard is the bright spot in every movie he's in.
I'll be right back.
That man has got range. Like, go look at Hackers. Go look at Scooby-Doo. Go look at, like, Matthew Lillard's filmography. Beautiful, wonderful actor. Seriously. He's probably one of this. But that gets me to a next topic. This film has one of the best casts for such a bad movie. I mean, David Warner's in this, for God's sakes, and he looks like someone who is in agony the entire time. Like, he signed on the dotted line for a movie, and then the movie got completely changed, which is something Freddie Prinze Jr. said. Like, yeah, the script was great! And then I only imagine that that's how they got every single one of these actors hooked. Oh, this script looks great! And then they're just like, yeah, but this is the actual movie, now that you've signed your contract.
Like I said, Freddie Prinze Jr. and Matthew Lillard were friends and stuff, and they were happy when they saw the first script and stuff, and then they got the second script, like, this is bad. But, like Matthew Lillard, I think part of the reason he's so good is because he was born in Lansing, Michigan, so I think that's what elevates Matthew Lillard a little bit, too.
Woo! Michigan, represent! Much like when we talked about Mortal Kombat, and if you haven't seen our Mortal Kombat review, go check it out. Based on a video game, this kind of leaves the viewer not understanding anything unless you understand stuff that was in Wing Commander, and even then, not that much, because it's a really, really loose adaptation, especially considering it came from the creator of the video game. Like, the whole story about the Pilgrims, the background for them being like the explorers of the universe, is actually a really interesting idea, which again, in a TV series could be expanded upon, not in the game at all. So, if you're just coming into this and you're like, all right, I don't know anything about Wing Commander, don't worry. You're not going to learn anything about Wing Commander in this movie either. And unlike Mortal Kombat, which does eventually get around to kind of explaining some of its background and still end up being fairly entertaining, this movie just suffers the entire time because you're just like, why is this person doing what they do? What are pilgrims? Why are they important? And, they kind of try to explain it, but it's half-assed.
There was a time long ago when people looked up to the pilgrims. The stars were their destiny.
This whole movie is just disappointing.
Pilgrim is kind of put in there, like you said, as just like something for like the movie. Like sometimes Pilgrim's used so that we have other characters hate Freddie Prinze Jr.'s character because he's half Pilgrim and we hate Pilgrims. Yet at the same time too, it's going to be the very thing that saves everyone because Pilgrims have this uncanny ability to just feel how space is and different things
and calculate faster than computers.
They're using the Force, Randall. They're using the Force.
Use the Force, Luke.
Oh my God! Wing Commander. Okay, now it all makes sense. Wing Commander's in the same universe as Star Wars, but it's in our galaxy instead of a galaxy far, far away. Matt, perfect. Wing Commander now makes absolute sense. Pilgrims are Force users. They're space wizards. This movie is now just as good as Episode 2.
Yep.
It's all Obi-Wan's fault.
before we sign off, there is one thing I need to say, and that's really that I think when I watched this and I was talking with my wife afterwards, I said, this movie it's bad. It deserves its bad rap. But a movie like Episode 2, which we've done a review of, is almost equally as bad, but gets way more benefit of the doubt because it's a Star Wars film. And I'm like, it's close, because the story in that doesn't make very much sense, especially if you're not a Star Wars fan. You don't understand what's going on. It hasn't aged well. And I'm like, you know what? If it wasn't for this being just like some other franchise, it could have been something else. It could have been okay.
Might have been interesting if this was like a play into like the video game instead of a standalone movie. And like you said, Attack of the Clones, it has that benefit of having a movie before it and a movie after it. So it's kind of like a bridge thing where this is kind of just, because there's so many elements in this movie that are different from the game, it has to stand on its own, and it just
doesn't.
They're not very strong legs to stand on.
Well, that's pretty much our conclusion. Not very strong legs to stand on. Awful film. But if you like watching bad films, give it a watch, because it's fun to make fun of. It's fun to make a little bit of get a little bit of joy out of a bad film. If you like this sort of thing, Matt and I have got lots of flashback reviews of much better films, so go check out that playlist. It's got a lot of good stuff in there. Make sure to give us a subscribe, a like, and ring the bell icon if you always want to be updated when we're uploading new videos. And make sure to check us out on Facebook. The day before a video goes live, we're always going to let everyone know what's coming up. For now, I'm Randall here in Texas. See everyone later.
And I'm Matt here in Michigan. Have a good day. Next time on No Market Media. Please consider checking out some of our other videos.